Hi there. Welcome to this week's episode of the podcast with me, Russell Davis. This week, we're looking at a common subject that comes up a lot with my clients, and it's a thing that featured a lot in my life, and that's guilt. It's very common for us to feel guilty in situations, but deep down we know it's not necessary or doesn't serve us, and there's a freedom beyond that guilt. So how can we be a good person, a loving person, and not feel guilty? Well, let's dive in and find out. I want to look at the subject of guilt. Guilt is featured in my life quite a lot in the past, and it comes up quite often with clients who particularly feel guilty perhaps if they're doing something for themselves. I felt very guilty if I said no to something, particularly if I knew I technically could do it. I didn't realise it was okay to say no to something just because I didn't want to do it. I thought I had to have a plausible or genuine reason why I couldn't do it. I had to justify why I was saying no to something, rather than actually asking myself whether I want to do it. And I felt guilty about how I've been in different situations, particularly relationships in the past, how I've hurt people. I can look back and see how it was my, lack of emotional awareness. It was my stuff that created that hurt. And I can feel guilty about those things. But guilt it's a judgment. It's thinking we should be different or better than where we are now. In my mind, I always had an idea that who I was wasn't good enough. I needed to be a better version of myself. I needed to be a version of me without fear or anxiety. And in my mind, I had this blueprint of who I think I should be. Forgetting that actually who I think I am in this moment, the judgment, the guilt I had about who I was, about not being good enough, is completely made up. It's complete fantasy. And who I thought I should be, the blueprint I was measuring myself against, trying to attain, and felt judgment or guilt if I wasn't being that person, is also made up. Complete fantasy. None of them are real. None of them are who I am or who I should be. They're just thoughts, imagination. When I let go of that, I can come back just to being who I am. We let go of thoughts of who we think we should be, the constant measuring, the yardstick, judgment. Allow us just to show up and be. We connect to our true self, which in my experience is a place of love for ourselves and love for others. A place of love for ourselves and love for others. We honour ourselves, our needs, our hopes, our dreams, our desires, but also we don't become selfish, arrogant gits. I think we're designed to live in community. Try and have our own needs met as well as meet other people's needs where possible. So guilt is basically a sign of judgment. We think we're failing to be who we think we should be in that moment. It's about shoulds. I should say yes. I shouldn't say no. I should be doing more. Shoulds are judgments, and they just kill. They kill a connection to our true self. They kill our connection to others, to life. They kill the possibility of being aligned to our true self and creating the life we want. And often we think we're responsible for how other people are. We're responsible for their well-being. So we should be doing more. We feel guilty we're not doing enough. There's a difference between caring about someone and feeling responsible. At the end of the day, we cannot make someone feel anything. We cannot make someone feel anything. In the same way that we live in the experience of our thoughts in the moment, nothing else. What we experience moment to moment is our thinking in that moment, not our circumstances, not what someone says or does. It's our perception of all that. In the same way that other people live in their model of the world, live the experience of their thinking. We cannot be responsible for how someone feels because we can't be responsible for their thinking in that moment. We can care, but we're not responsible. And if we think we're responsible, we're looking in the wrong place for their well-being. We never get there. We never get there. So being mindful of those judgments, these expectations, these judgments that we should be doing better. And we think we should be someone different. But whose judgments? Whose judgments, whose yardstick are we measuring ourselves against? Our parents? Societies? Because we weren't born with this yardstick in our head, this measurement, this expectation of who we should be. Look at toddlers and kids, they just be themselves. They're not trying to be anyone special or different, they're just being themselves. And as we go through life, we start picking up other people's judgments, start owning them for ourselves, start thinking they're true. We need to be that way. It gets drummed into us, often from our parents or the education system, how we should be. It's selfish to focus on yourself, to have your needs met. It's not true. It's not true. It's okay to have your needs met. In fact, the more you make sure your needs are met, you have more resources and you're more able to give to other people. But we pick up these judgments, whether it's from our parents, society, the education system, and we forget they're not even ours. We forget they're not even ours. We think they're true. We think we'd be judged by other people, as in cut off from society, the tribe, no longer loved or worthy or appreciated. And that mammalian part of our brain thinks our survival is dependent on being an accepted member of the tribe, keeping other people happy, making sure they think good of us. Forgetting actually it's all contaminated thinking, it's other people's stuff we've taken on for ourselves. It's not our truth. It's not our truth. We're not responsible for other people's happiness and well-being. We can care, but we're not responsible. When we let go of the sense of responsibility, we realise they're living in the experience of their thinking. We can have some boundaries to our giving. We can say yes sometimes, we can say no sometimes. There can be boundaries. We can make sure our needs are met. We can have more self-love and compassion. I grew up craving a sense of love. I grew up craving that God, life, the universe was unconditional love. In my mind, intellectually, I was taught, I knew God was unconditional love, but my personal experience of that, my perception of God, is based upon my parents. I couldn't get beyond judgment, having to be a good person. And the first time I really experienced unconditional love, I sat in this feeling of sensing an energy of life that's unconditional love. I expected, and perhaps part of me wanted me to feel like being hugged. What I felt was self-compassion, self-love. I could recognize how hard I'd been on myself, carrying other people's expectations, judgments. And I could feel deep self-love that despite the things I've done, maybe let people down, hurt people, Whatever I've done in the past, I'm still lovable, still worthy. That I was a good person. Despite my failings, my shortcomings, my humanness. We all have humanness. Stuff we learnt along the way that's contaminated thinking based upon fear and insecurity. Underneath all that, our soul is perfect. We're lovable for who we are. We don't have to prove it in any way. And often we create this blueprint, this template of who we think we should be to be acceptable, to be lovable. It's just misunderstandings. Other people's judgments, models of the world we've taken on for ourselves. It's not truth. When we let go of that, we can come back to our true self that knows we're lovable for who we are. When was the last time you looked at a baby and thought they weren't lovable? It's our essence, it's our truth, it's who we are. It's not dependent on what we do, what we say yes to, what we say no to. It's who we are. And we come back to that place, which I believe is a place of love for ourselves and love for others. Yeah, we can care about others, but we're not responsible. There's a boundary to what we can do, what we can commit to, what we can say yes to. We don't have to feel guilty when we say no. Guilt is a judgment. Guilt is part of us assessing whether we're good enough to some imaginary blueprint, some perception of who we think we should be that we've learnt over the years. That's not truth. It's other people's fear and insecurity. It's their stuff. It's not our truth. It's not how we were born into the world. We weren't born with this constant evaluation of whether we're good enough. There's a deeper connection to our soul that knows we're worthy, knows we're lovable, that knows we're enough, that knows we're enough. And when you feel guilty, it's a signal. You got caught into the old patterns, the learned behaviours, the contaminated thinking. You no longer align to your truth. You're trying to find who you are against some map, some blueprint that's completely made up. You're overthinking it. Trying to think about who you should be. You let go of that noise, all those thoughts. When we see them for what they are, imagination, and our mind settles, we get perspective. We get clarity. We come back home. We know we're okay for who we are. We're loved and lovable for who we are. We have nothing to prove. We have nothing to prove. Loving you.